There's that question again. The same question asked in last Sunday's Gospel. Jesus asks, "What do you want me to do for you?" You'll remember that last week, that question was asked of James and John, who had initiated the conversation by saying, "There's something we want you to do for us." So he asked, "What do you want me to do for you?" You remember, they wanted those places on the right and the left hand. They wanted places of prestige and power. And in response to their request, Jesus goes on to say that that kind of thing is not mine to give, nor should that kind of thing be so among you. Now, Jesus faces another person. And he asks him, "What do you want me to do for you?" But before we ever get to that question, it's important to understand that the blind man has identified Jesus of Nazareth as Son of David. He sees better than James and John and perhaps all the apostles saw. In his blindness, he has the deeper sight to recognize that here, walking near to me, is the Son of David. This is the one that's been promised to us. He's the one I can call out to for healing. And again, before he approaches Jesus, he throws aside his cloak, Mark tells us. A very important detail in the story. He threw aside his cloak. The cloak is perhaps his most treasured possession. It's what he wrapped himself in to keep warm. It's probably what he slept in at night. And as part of his business of begging, it was in that cloak that the coins were that people had given the beggar. So for him to throw aside his cloak was like to abandon everything with this hope that this Jesus, Son of David, can give me my sight. 2 Sundays ago, in the Gospel of Mark, there was the rich man who came up to Jesus asking about eternal life. And the very thing that prevented him from following Jesus more closely were all his possessions. But here we have a man with one possession, and he throws it away, in a sense, to ready himself for what Jesus can give him. After he has his sight, Jesus tells him, "Now go on your way." But Mark tells us he did not go on his way, but he followed the way of Jesus. He followed Jesus. And as we'll know in the next few Sundays, the journey from Jericho is now to Jerusalem. Now it's the time of suffering and death. But this man is willing to go with Jesus down that path, unafraid. Some of those early apostles were slow learners, whereas Bartimaeus grasped immediately what Jesus was offering him. Some of the successors to those apostles still grasping for power and prestige and control. But the successors of the beggar, the successors of the sinners and the tax collectors and the prostitutes, all the people that Jesus surrounded himself with, they got it. They saw the liberation. They saw the freedom that Jesus was offering them. They saw entrance into eternal life in a way that sometimes the more distinguished people weren't getting it. They sensed that the mission of Jesus was indeed meant for them. It was a mission of healing. It was a mission of liberation. It was a mission of wholeness. And that is the mission of the church. This being World Mission Sunday is very much about understanding what Jesus' mission was and being willing in some way to participate in it. Sometimes World Mission Sunday focuses on the second collection. Your role in World Mission Sunday is to contribute money so that the missionaries can do their work. Well, that's not it at all. But we do want your money. Right? It is important. That is important. But we can't do it. We put our money toward World Mission Sunday, wash our hands, and say, okay, done with that for the year. As if they, out there in Africa or Asia or South America, that they are the missionaries. And I'll do what I can to support them. It's important that we recognize that we are the missionaries. If we are Christian, if we are members of the Catholic Church, or Christian at all, we are missionaries. Our role is to follow Jesus along the way, as Bartimaeus is leading us. Our role is to be involved in the mission of the church. We're aware today of missionaries from here in Ohio who are being held captive in Haiti by that gang. Some missionaries go the full extent in giving of themselves for what they believe Jesus wants them to do. They understand that they are missionaries. But we don't have to go to Haiti. We don't have to go anywhere else but here to exercise our mission, part of who we are as Christians. I remind you that we have a mission here at St. Francis Xavier. During the responsorial song, you were asked to go to the back page so you could respond. But on the front page of the bulletin is our mission statement. It's there in front of you every Sunday, the mission of this church. St. Francis Xavier is a Catholic faith community. That may not signal what's our mission, but just the fact that we are Catholic, inclusive in being Catholic, is being missionary. The second sentence, we are called to serve with and among the people of Over the Rhine. We're not going out on mission on the west side of Cincinnati, as bad as they need missionaries. No. We're not being called to cross the river and go into mission territory. No, our mission is here, in Over the Rhine, with and among the people of Over the Rhine. Then the important sentence. Our mission is to share the powerful love of Jesus Christ, which changes lives and communities. Our mission is to share the powerful love of Jesus Christ. In the spirit of St. Francis, we proclaim the gospel through worship, education, and social justice. If you're like me, you rarely look at the front cover of the bulletin. Because nothing changes except what Sunday is in the picture. So we could easily dismiss the front cover of the bulletin. But if we do that, we're dismissing a really important part of who we are trying to grow into being. Missionaries. With and among the people of Over the Rhine. My question to you is, how can you do that? Or how are you doing that? How can you, each one of us, participate in sharing that powerful love of Jesus Christ? You feel it in you, first of all. Do you know how much you are loved by Jesus Christ? Do you let yourself be loved? There are people in this world who, because of experiences in life, are almost afraid of love. They've been burned. They've been hurt. But if we allow ourselves to be loved by God, to believe we are loved by God, that can empower us to share that powerful love of Jesus Christ with others. We do that through worship, through education, and not just the education of the children in our school, although that's an important part of the mission of St. Francis Seraph, and social justice. Some of that is being exercised at St. Francis Seraph Ministries next door. But it has to go beyond, well, let the school people do that piece, let the people who work over there do that piece, and we'll just do the work. We can't get off that easy. We can't just be the worshiping community. We also have to be the missionaries in this world, in this city, going out from here and somehow spreading that good news. So I invite you on World Mission Sunday to ask yourself, what might be ways that you can participate in the mission? It's complicated right now by all the restrictions of the pandemic. It's just difficult to see how I can get more involved. But we can at least be the praying community, praying that the mission of the church grows. Part of the goal of the Beacons of Light is to try to make sure that our parishes are revitalized, that our parishes are sources of energy and invitation to others. So whether we do that as a single parish, or whether we do that as a family of parishes, one of the goals is that our Catholic parishes become attractive, emanate light, that people see and perhaps want to be part of, participate with us in the mission. So if you're taking home the parish bulletin today, you might want to look at the mission statement a couple times this week. I'm not asking you to come back next Sunday with it memorized. I don't have it memorized. I've certainly read it a few times. It doesn't have to be memorized. It doesn't have to be put in a plaque. That's sometimes the worst thing you can do to a mission statement. Put it in a plaque. Got that done. Now what's else on the agenda? The mission statement should always be on our agenda. Always. We are missionaries of Jesus Christ. Bartimaeus teaches that to us. Once he was healed, once he could see, once he had felt that powerful love of Jesus Christ, then no, he didn't go on his own way. He didn't go home. He went with Jesus. He followed him on the way. That's our invitation. Not to refuse the invitation as the rich man did a couple Sundays ago, not to get the invitation confused, as the apostles did last week, with prestige, control, and power, but to take example from Bartimaeus, with that newfound freedom, with that experience of Christ healing in him. He could go and be part of the mission. And we're invited to make sure that somehow we too are part of that mission of Jesus.